All right. Well, we have another possible crime that Donald Trump or people around him may have committed. This one relates to what I call a revenge audit by the IRS. This is a couple things to understand about this. And one, of course, is that what we have right now is something circumstantial and suspicious that is increasingly being focused on Trump and people around him. We don't yet know the full story, but this is Salon has reported on the reality that both James Comey and Andrew McCabe were subjected to IRS audits. Now, these audits are very rare. And so to see two high-ranking FBI officials, both targeted by audits that have a 1 in 30,000 per year prevalence, it starts to raise some red flags. Former FBI Director James Comey and his top deputy, Andrew McCabe, faced rare intensive IRS audits after investigating former President Donald Trump, according to the New York Times. Comey, whom Trump fired in 2017, and McCabe, who was similarly as to Comey fired after investigating Trump, were selected for, quote, random audits known as autopsy without the benefit of death. These are like the most invasive audits. Out of about 153 million individual tax returns from 2017, only 5,000 people were selected for this type of invasive audit each year. Now, we'll get to the math, okay? But the point is, these are extremely rare. And for the former FBI director and the former FBI deputy director to both be targeted by these audits, it starts to be a little strange. Comey, McCabe, and their spouses defied the odds, being selected for the audit after being fired. The two men were selected for an IRS research program that uses compliance research examinations to try to catch tax cheats. Unlike typical audits, these audits force individuals to produce bank records, copies of checks, receipts, and letters, effectively recreating their finances for the year in question. This takes months and often costs thousands in accountant fees. In my experience, and I've not been audited, but in talking to accountants about it, it's more than thousands for this. This could be tens of thousands. The IRS said in letters to both men, your federal income tax return for the year shown above was selected at random for a compliance research examination. We must examine randomly selected tax returns to better understand tax compliance and improve fairness of the tax system. The minuscule chance of the two top FBI officials being selected at random raised questions about whether Trump appointees in the government or IRS purposely targeted them. Lightning strikes, and that's unusual. And that's what it's like being picked out for one of these audits, said former IRS Commissioner John Koskinen. The question is, does lightning then strike again in the same area? Does it happen? Some people may see that in their lives, but most will not. Trump's spokeswoman has denied even knowing about these audits. Okay, so let's do some math. And I know the math is not easy on this. So I know that the math people will tell me whether I'm wrong. So first things first. If the odds of this audit is 1 in 30,000, or the odds are 1 in 30,000, if you say, what are the odds of two specific people facing the same audit, you would get 1 in 900 million, assuming that every person is equally likely to be audited. That doesn't really reflect the situation, in particular, because you would imagine that a large number of my guess is that even if we believe the audits are random, they're probably not being done for people below a certain level of income. And that would probably be for two reasons. One, that the amount that the IRS even stands to recover from someone who might have cheated on their taxes if they made 40 grand is very, very low. So that's one thing. And number two, the mechanisms that are often used to avoid taxes or evade, remember, avoidance and evasion are two different things. One's legal, one is not, are much more commonly used by people of higher incomes. So it's not even the right number because it's not the entire population that is probably even really at risk for this type of audit. It's some subset of that above a certain income level. Okay. But the other thing about this is that there's the missing context of, well, it's actually 4 people because it's these two guys and their spouses. And I believe they were in different years. So if your risk of this is 1 in 30,000 each year, if we look over like the 3-year period where Trump could have theoretically directed this or indicated someone should do this. Then it's sort of like 3 in 30,000. It gets complicated. But I think what we have to understand are a couple things. One, this is very rare. And two, to see both of the top FBI people targeted with this supposedly randomly during a time when they were adversarial to the president who appointed people to the IRS. We know the president is one of the most vindictive and childish, probably the most vindictive and childish president that we've ever had. It is weird. And so I'm not ready to say Trump directed this. I'm not ready to say it was even necessarily within Trump's purview. But it's strange enough that it should be investigated. And one of the things we have to remember also is, like, imagine that it was something Trump did. In theory, this is a federal crime. But Trump really exposed how easy it is to just ignore all of the checks and balances on people in positions of power. And if this was a retaliatory IRS audit, whoever directed it, aside from whoever did it, should be investigated, should be charged if that's what happened. But Trump flouted all sorts of different norms and checks and balances. And at least for now, there have not really been any consequences. So we learned that the framers set up some checks and balances, but they clearly assumed no one would ever flout them. That's FLOUT, to the degree that Donald Trump did. And so how strong are those checks and balances if they can be ignored with essentially no consequences? We will continue to get answers to that. One of our sponsors is BetterHelp, the customized online therapy service that offers video, phone, and live chat with your therapist. You don't even have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. You fill out a questionnaire to help assess your specific needs, and then you're matched with a licensed therapist in under 48 hours. You can schedule secure video and phone sessions. You can exchange unlimited messages with your therapist, and you can request a new therapist at any time for any reason at no charge. Talking to a therapist doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It means you're doing something for yourself and for your wellness. You get your car serviced. You work out. You see the doctor to prevent physical illness and disease. Therapy is the same thing. Anyone can benefit from it. I think it's very important. Join the 2 million plus people who have taken charge of their mental health with BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/Pacman. The link is down below.